if you are struggling at a certain level in your evolution, personally or professionally, chances are that you have not graduated, quote unquote, the current level you are at. What I mean by that is, if you think about school, when you went to school, you couldn't just go to fourth grade or fifth grade without graduating second grade or third grade. And sometimes we want to go to 10th grade without really graduating from fifth grade. In other words, we have goals and aspirations that are way ahead of us, but we have not yet mastered what's in front of us. So in other words, as leaders, we always have to be kind of with our focus in two areas. One is, okay, I'm here, I'm at this level of growth in my company. We are probably, let's say, 30 people. Our aim is to get to 100 people. So how do I get to 100 people? So this is where I'm living in the future, building that vision. But at the same time, I need to secure that I have the 30 figured out and I can, quote unquote, graduate from the 30. What I mean by that is that with COVID, I have seen examples of organizations that were growing exponentially because they were doing online commerce. And when COVID hit, most of the organizations, like big companies and big supermarkets, were not really able to fulfill all the online demand. So people turned to these smaller companies that were able to deliver things, and that created a huge demand for them. And they say, oh wow, now we're having a lot of demand, so we need to employ more people. And so I know exactly what happens with an organization like that. You know, I interviewed the CEO of that organization because they had this exponential growth. And to quote her, she said, we were drowning in our own growth. So in other words, what happens is that all of a sudden they had all of these people buying stuff online. They couldn't fulfill the orders. They had orders, and instead of saying no to orders, they grew exponentially. And I think they went from 20 people to 60 people in like 18 months or 12 months. And what happens is that there was no culture, there was no sustainable growth. They never graduated from the 20 employees successfully over a period of time to be able to go to 50 or to be able to go to 60. What happens is that since this was not in place, the other organizations like the supermarkets and the other ones catch up with the deliveries, and then their demand started to go down, and all of a sudden we have this crisis, internal crisis, with employees that you brought in. Maybe you were not really able to make sure that they live their values, and then in the recruiting process there were some challenges, right? So what happens is that they grew very rapidly based on kind of a temporary demand. They were not able to graduate from the 20. They didn't have the systems in place. They didn't have the structure in place to be able to then scale that up to 60 employees. So what I'm saying is that at each level in your organization, there is something that you have to have under control. There are some systems, you need to have those in place. There are some practices, there is a culture element, there is training, there is mentoring that has to happen in the organization for you to sustainably deliver consistently at one level. And then you can start building the next level. And oftentimes we want to go to 10th grade without really graduating from 6th grade or 7th grade. And we're still here at 7th grade. We still have challenges, and we haven't mastered this grade, but we want to go to the next one. And so the question for you as a leader is like, identify what grade, quote unquote, are you at? What are the KPIs, the indicators, the measurements that you can put in place to make sure that you're consistently delivering at this level before you start building the next one? Because here's what I know. While speed is important, timing, it's even more important. So if you actually now you grow too fast and things are not under control, then you don't have the resources, the systems and the processes in place, the way of working, what happens is that you're gonna get bigger problems. And that might have you go back 2 or 3 grades, if you like. It was a long message, but I can't stress enough how important this is for you as a leader. Make sure that you are at the right grade and then that you master that before you go to the next one. And while you cast vision for the future, make sure that you have the processes and systems in place to take you there, so you have a sustainable journey.